doesn't matter how cute you are, how in shape you are, and how much of the opposite you are that you feel, because somebody's gonna like what you got going on. But it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Don't let nobody save you for later. Okay, we met in 2017. We met in a club. I was very much so against even meeting anyone at this point in my life. I was really just finally deciding that I didn't really want to be bothered. He approached me several times while we were at this particular club, and I declined all several times. He left me with his number, and I never called, and he still found me on Instagram somehow. He proceeded to, reach out to me, and me finding his persistence charming, eventually I just kind of said, okay, if you want to go out, we can go out. We ended up going out on a date, your traditional date. I think we did dinner and a movie, but we did it in reverse. We did movie first, and then I guess he decided that after the movie, he still wanted to be in my presence. So he asked, like, could you eat? Are you hungry? And I was like, yeah, I can eat. We went out, everything was cool. And it just kind of flourished from there. I think there's like a running joke that sometimes the first date lasts for 3 days. And it was kind of like that. Like, we went out on a date, and he ended up asking me, could he come in? And he came in, and we literally just talked and listened to music for hours. He ended up staying over. Nothing happened. It was really, just innocent starting out. And he actually was at my house for the rest of the week, the remainder of the week. And we hit it off really well. But he wasn't from here. He was from here, but he didn't live here. He lived in Atlanta. So after that week, he went back to Atlanta. And right before he went, I asked him, how should we move forward, or how should I look at the situation? He set it up to basically say that he wanted to be considered, and I was okay with that. I enjoyed his time and everything like that. So that's how everything started. I was happy with what I had because it felt so comfortable, but it turned out to be a very wicked situationship, if that makes any sense. There was never any real commitment. I remember like in the beginning asking like, okay, so what are you looking for? You want to be considered? Okay, great. Now going forward, once sex or, intimacy had been introduced, I was like, okay, so are we seeing other people? Are we seeing each other? What would you like to see grow from this? And what I was told was, I am interested in marriage and children, and I want to consider you for that. And what are your intentions for me? We had that whole sit down conversation. And I was like, wow, I've never had this serious of a conversation. We're getting somewhere. We're actually gaining clarity. Everything's good. But really what that conversation did, I guess, for me was took me off the course, because instead of digging deeper and saying, okay, now he's saying he wants to be serious. Now you should be more serious about figuring out what this guy is all about, what he really is doing when he's not with you, what he really is interested in. Instead of doing that, I was like, wow, okay, I found my person. I was too easily sold, because I was convinced that he was already sold on me. And the narrative is kind of like, if they already chose you, then it shouldn't be too hard from there. There's no need to court if we've already decided, right? So that's kind of how I felt. And boy, was I wrong. I think as we continue the situationship and I got more serious about what he had said to me, and he got more, I guess, convinced that what he had said to me was actually setting a standard in my head, he started to back off. And when you are someone like I was, and in that moment I was on the scene a lot, I was, really interested in entertainment industry, and I was doing a lot of, appearances places and different things like that. It's all fine and fun when you are just a conquest for a male or a conquest for someone. But once they decide that, wow, I'm really considering you, and they realize that you're everywhere doing everything, it becomes a little bit intimidating, a little less attractive. And I think that that played a role as well. So I think that he backed up because I was persistent about what I had been told. I wanted to see the results. And I think he also backed up because I wasn't the safest candidate. I think a lot of men date for safety. I was attractive. I was probably everything he liked in a woman. He loved my energy. He liked the way I look. He was attracted to me in that way. my personality, everything, but I don't think I was the safest candidate. He wasn't the safest candidate either. But I think that is what upped the ante for him as well. Like, I'm not a safe candidate. You mean to tell me she's not a safe candidate? Oh no, this isn't gonna work. And I feel like that added to it. I think if I had to do it all over again, I think I would be a little less impressed with nothing. And I would do a lot more paying attention. I think that like I said, ignorance is bliss, and there are a lot of beautiful moments in being naive. And I think that it was such a sweet and, glamorous place for me to be because I wasn't doing much thinking. I was just doing a lot of trusting, and you can't do that with strangers. It turned out he ended up having a baby on me. Still to this day, when I look back, I still don't know exactly where he lived in Atlanta because I had never been. There were also moments where he would do things that just really wouldn't make any sense. But he didn't start acting up or acting crazy for real until he knew I was already sold. And I think that that's another thing that people do. They wait to share their crazy. They hold on to the crazy as long as they can until you locked in, and then they say, boom, I'm crazy, but you didn't know that. Now you like this, like Stewie in the bed, like, no, struggling. And I think if I had to do it all over again, I would be a lot more on point. I would dot my I's and cross my T's. I would be a lot more investigative, in that sense. And I think after I finally got the strength to just kind of say, Diamond, get it together, leave the situation. Because he still didn't leave me alone. He told me he didn't, think we got along, we weren't a good match. He didn't see himself with me, but he never left me alone. This continued for 2 years. And I would just leave me alone, I would literally do things and act crazy so he would leave me alone, and he never would. He would knock on my door, he would pop up places, literally. But once I said, Diamond, no more. If you don't feed it, it will not grow. You know what I mean? Even when this guy comes knocking on your door, don't answer it. Even when this guy comes calling, don't answer it. Really leave this thing alone. Once I got myself together, I realized, girl, I know you lying. Like, I know you playing. And you really played yourself like this because you knew you had other things to be doing. You knew that this didn't make sense. I think once everything's 20/20 in hindsight. And when I got away from that situation and I finally decided no, that's when I met my husband, and I really just kind of looked. When I dated him, I was like, look, be yourself. So I think when I actually made the decision that I was no longer going to do it was when I texted them and I said, so what are we doing? This is a complete back and forth. You know how I feel about you. I'm head over heels in love with you. I don't need to lie to you about anything. You tell me that you love me. Okay, cool. Okay, so where do we go from here? And when he said to me, I don't see myself being with anyone, but especially not you, not right now. I will never forget that text message. And I remember writing it in my notes because I wanted to burn it in my head. Because I wanted to say, Diamond, if you ever forget that this man said this to you and you do this again, now you're responsible for whatever happens out from here. And I feel like after he said that, I decided any man who can say, especially not with you, like you're like a burden or an issue or problematic in the sense where they don't even want to connect themselves with you with any level of permanence, only a temporary type of vibe, do you really need to be there? And is this the person for you? Because a person for you would know that would hurt you deeply. So them saying it, even if it is the truth, thank them for the truth, believe this there. And when I really realized, like, you were fine alone. Why would you let this person come in here and make you feel like you need them in order to be happy? You're a happy soul. Because if they say that you're not for them, yet they keep coming around, you're obviously offering something that they like, even if you're selling yourself short to give it to them. So leave this here, leave it alone. It was hard. But I think once I made the decision that, who are you to tell me I'm not good enough for you? Once I made that decision, it was like, eat my dust. That's how I felt about it, because who are you to tell me I'm not good enough? Like, as long as I wake up and I decide that I'm good enough, as long as I wake up and I decide that even if, I don't like who I was in the last 3 hours, I can be a different person in the next 3 hours. I can choose who I want to be, how I want to be it, what I want to wear, what I want to eat, how I want to live. You have no right to make me feel like I'm unworthy of your time, your attention, your truth, your honesty, your affection, any of it. So I'm going to gather my ducks, put them on my back, and I'm going to hit it. They don't need to be in a row, but they're mine. When I made that decision, all was well. It doesn't always feel well when you're making the choice to choose yourself. but it's a permanent choice that ends up serving you better than someone else can. If you pick someone over yourself, you're gonna lose every time, because you're gonna feel like you're kind of like on a treadmill trying to always make sure that they're happy so they won't leave you. You have to attach your self-worth to yourself because you're the only person you can control. You can't control any other moving parts. So I think once I decided, like, you're worthy, you're important, you cute, girl, you know, somebody like it. Once I decided that, it was like, he doesn't have to pick me, I pick me. The essential message that I want to share with anyone is, it doesn't matter how cute you are, how in shape you are, and how much of the opposite you are that you feel, because somebody's gonna like what you got going on. But it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Don't let nobody save you for later. Because they want you and they wanna hold you, you know, put you in a clutch, hold you until they're ready. And then they wanna pull you out and say, look what I got. Don't let anybody save you for later. You are not a box of noodles, girl, okay? Don't let them save you for later. And once I really realized, you know what, don't worry about it. It was over. Things got better for me. They're not perfect, but they better. They mine, you know? And I feel like that's the only thing you need in this life.